Beyond the Gates is back after its college basketball hiatus. Although over the weekend there was a lot of hoopla after some recast news came out, and some fans not so happy about those developments. But we'll talk about that at the end of the video. I want to talk about this episode first. The show has now officially been on for a month. It premiered February 24th, today being March 24th. And I enjoyed today's episode. It was a much needed character driven episode. Something I've been talking about lately, that a lot of characters on this show do need development. So episodes like today were needed. Yes, it was the first time that the Danny story and the Leslie story were not on. At least one of those stories is always on. It's also the first episode without Nicole, period. But we got to see some of the smaller stories start to grow, and thus character development within those stories, which I think was needed. But we also still did get the Kat, Eva, Tomas love triangle, which one of my favorite things going on the show, despite the actor that plays Tomas being rough in his role. I find he has more chemistry with Eva, although like I've talked about last week, I think the actress that plays Eva has a lot of chemistry throughout the show, whether it's family relations, enemy relations with Kat, and now this with Tomas. I also want to give a shout out to Dor Couture 16, who has been giving me some super thanks on these episodes the past couple of weeks. Thank you for that. And they also agreed that Eva and Tomas have better chemistry than Tomas and Kat. Today we saw Eva really laying it on thick with the flirting with Tomas. I enjoyed her faking an injury at the hospital to get Tomas to come to her aid, and then kind of alluding to him that Kat had a talk with her about him, and that Kat makes up reasons to hate her. I thought that was Eva being her scheming little self. She does have some of her mother in her, that is for sure. Those were all our Eva scenes today, were just with Tomas, but the chemistry was there between them to me. Now later on, Tomas and Kat got together when Kat called him, worried that he was going distant, after their whole talk about her virginity. They met up at Orphe Jean's, and I thought in these scenes, the actor that played Tomas this is where he was rough today. There was his bad line reading again. I thought these two had more chemistry in some of their scenes on their date, like I think it was a week and a half ago now. But today, they kind of fell flat for me. I definitely enjoyed Tomas more with Eva. I think it's just because Eva is such a strong actress that she kind of had Tomas come up to her level for a bit. Earlier in the episode, though, Kat also had some interactions with Chelsea. We got some more character development with Chelsea and how she doesn't want to tell her mother that she doesn't want to model anymore. They've definitely been dealing with this, but they've done a good job of showing us why Chelsea feels this way, because clearly Danny is trying to live vicariously through her daughter. She had to end her modeling career short because she married Bill, and now she wants this for Chelsea, but it's not the life that Chelsea wants. Chelsea wants to go on into business with Kat and have their fashion empire. But Kat's trying to help Chelsea be able to tell her mother that she doesn't want to model anymore. But for good reason, Chelsea is afraid of hurting her mother, who's already been hurt a lot lately, and is clearly on the edge all the time. And Chelsea, who is her daughter, clearly knows this. But I enjoy the scenes of Chelsea trying to pretend Kat was Danny and what she should say to Danny. And then later, Chelsea was just talking to herself about what she wanted to say to Danny when her brother-in-law, Jacob, came into the scenes. So yeah, good character development for Chelsea. And where Jacob is concerned, we also got some character development for his father. Elon, who they really could have had a better name for, honestly. But Elon was meeting with Anita at the start of this episode because Anita is trying to do some fallen officer fund charity work. In that conversation, we learned that Jacob has a brother too named Luke or something, who maybe is also a police officer. So that definitely runs in Elon's family. Then later, Jacob was complaining to his father, who, well, about, I forget his partner's name. I want to say Malone, Detective Malone, who has become Jacob's partner, who they saw Joey Armstrong pocketing money, being suspicious, and Malone didn't want to do anything about it. So Jacob was complaining to his father about this. I will say the actor that plays Elon, although to me he kind of looks like a bootleg Montel Williams, I thought he did a really good job in the role of a police detective. He definitely came across like a cop, whereas I think Jacob and Malone kind of don't always. But Elon did come off like a cop. We get some development within this police force story when, after the conversation with Jacob, Elon goes to Malone and tells Malone he doesn't like his son asking questions about Malone, which is, to me, either Jacob's father knows that Malone has some dirty cop in him, or maybe Jacob's father, Elon, is also a dirty cop. But they're definitely building up some sort of dirty cop some dirty cop stuff happening in the police department, which either Elon knows about or is in on. And afterwards, we get confirmation when Malone calls Joey and tells Joey that he needs to stop making stupid mistakes like taking money in broad daylight when rookie cops are around trying to prove themselves. But then we get confirmation when Joey tells Malone that he pays him off for a reason. So I thought that was some interesting developments because they're clearly building the character of Joey to be a bigger villain on the show. But the whole gambling story is redundant at this point, which was also in this episode. But the whole Doug stuff is redundant. At least today, Doug was winning some money. And maybe his friend Randy kind of set him up to win some money. But I guess you can say they tried to develop Doug a little more today. But I don't know if it worked for me necessarily because I do find the gambling story redundant. They did add Joey having a conversation with Vanessa at Orphegene's, which, as we know Vanessa, we know that she likes to sleep around, and I thought that she and Joey probably had a spark to maybe sleep around in the future too. And clearly Doug, when he came back to the table, was suspicious of that too, or just feeling some kind of way that Joey was talking to his wife. Joey and Doug pretended to not know each other, like this was them meeting for the first time. Joey was telling Vanessa that he wants to buy a house for his mother, her dream home, because she's getting older. And now Vanessa's taking him on as a client. I don't know what Joey's thing is in this situation. I don't know what he wants from Vanessa. Maybe it's that Vanessa's family apparently has a lot of money, so he thinks he could get out on that. But right now his main concern seems to be trying to get Joey to be his puppet. Joey's trying to get Doug to be his puppet. But today Doug was winning and Joey's upset because if Doug could end up paying him off, then how is he going to control Doug? Also, I guess Vanessa's story is also pretty redundant because Diego saw Joey and Vanessa talking. Diego, also jealous of those two talking, was giving Vanessa shit about Joey being old, like saying first she was robbing the cradle, now she's robbing the grave. They're painting Diego to maybe be way more into Vanessa than she is to him. Maybe he will become obsessed with her. I don't know. But they have been playing games every time we've seen them lately of trying to make the other jealous. But that part of the story is kind of redundant too. But I think adding Joey into it does make it a little bit more intriguing. Lastly, Naomi is concerned about taking the case against her father, the whole sexual harassment case that from last week. She went to Anita for advice, and I think obviously we've seen the preview for this week. Naomi's probably going to go forward with that sexual harassment case against her father's law firm. The interactions though between Anita and Naomi were cute. Anita rapping at the end was something. Honestly, I thought it was pretty cute. I think it was giving Cerise Real Housewives of Potomac season 1 realness. But honestly, I thought Anita was doing a better rap. And then I thought it was cute when Naomi tried to rap and couldn't do it. It was a really funny scene to end the show. It wasn't some big cliffhanger, but it was a family moment. And also just a cute moment. And Tamara Tooney was great in that scene. She was funny, getting modern slang wrong. I thought it was really cool to see. And I hope they are developing a story for Anita, the character. We saw her reminiscing about her past as a music artist. And she's saying right now that she's happy where she is doing charity work. But clearly there's something missing. That's what I got from our scenes with Anita today. She's acting like she likes where her life is right now, just doing charity works. But I think she wants something more. And I hope that gives us some story for Anita, because she does need her own story. Like, Tamara Tooney is the soap legend on this show. So give her a real solo story. Now let's get to the recast news that had people upset this weekend, and I understand why to an extent. Why Ted, for anyone that doesn't know, is the first character that will get a recast is questionable, especially because the actor Maurice has been one of the biggest, supporters of the show on Twitter, and I think that is a big reason why there were so many fans upset on Twitter, is because he's been so interactive, probably the most interactive cast member. But maybe he's been the most interactive cast member because he got the pink slip before the show even started. The show has recorded months in advance, so the recast already happened, I believe, before the show even started airing. So I hear the recast is a good actor. I don't know anything about him, but I thought Maurice was doing a decent job. The only thing that upsets me is, like, why is Derek and Martin not getting the recast, or Tomas, as we saw today? There's just other characters that should have been the first recast before anyone ever thought of recasting Ted. So I find the decision odd. So I understand why people are upset, but then also it's giving a lot of these people are just new to soap operas, and this is like, welcome to soap operas. You're going to have recasts all the time, unfortunately. Still, though, an odd choice from the show, in my opinion. Maybe it's the direction they want to take the character. I do feel bad for Maurice if it wasn't he who that wanted to leave the role and he was actually just replaced. It's an odd decision. The only thing that upsets me is that if they are already considering recasts, then I do not want to see Derek, nor Martin, nor Tomas make it into the summer, because they probably shouldn't. I'm trying to give them chances, especially Martin. I feel like he could maybe get better, but Derek's a no-go for me completely. And Tomas, with his cat scenes today, was also questionable. I enjoyed him with Eva. That's why I'm not going to give him too much shit. I do think Tomas and Eva actually do have chemistry, but that's because Eva has chemistry with everyone. So yeah, that is the recast news. The only part that upsets me most is that there's other characters that could have been recast first, or that need to be recasted by summertime. If they're on a clock to recast every 3 months, because I think that's how long the contracts go in soap world these days for most people. Also, the fact that Derek's just on contract is crazy. There's all these other recurring characters. How is Derek one of the contract characters when they're not even actually trying to develop him, in my opinion? Sorry, I'm going to get into a rant and I don't have the time right now. But I'll either be back tomorrow to recap tomorrow's episode or Wednesday to recap Tuesday and Wednesday's episodes.